Money, the whole world's favorite point of discussion. How can someone that is based on collective faith feel like it is the only real thing in the world? Like Kim Kardashian's ass. As we all know, money is important. It is our basic unit of exchange. But too much money, well, that is not so good. I know Bill Gates completely disagrees, but let us not look at it unilaterally. The fact is, when it comes to money, the most consistent, sensible adage after "cut your coat according to your cloth" is, too much of anything is bad for you. Every country in the world agrees to this. If there is too much money in circulation, inflation will happen. And that brings us to the money printer go brrr meme. First off, the money printer go brrr is an image macro series depicting Wojaks representing the Federal Reserve putting money to prop up the bond market in attempts to prevent an economic downturn. For those who do not know, an economic downturn is a general slowdown in economic activity over a sustained period of time. Think the coronavirus pandemic or Thanos' blip. Now, the main features of an economic downturn include rising unemployment, falling shares and house prices, low consumer confidence, and declining investment. The original meme spawned a subgenre of Wojak comments in which one character nonchalantly replies to another character's serious plea for common sense with, "Haha, printer goes brrr." On March 9, 2020, a Twitter user with a handle that sounded like she is a dominatrix @FemaleLandlords tweeted an image of a Zoomer wearing an anarcho-capitalist bow tie pleading with a boomer Wojak representing the U.S. Federal Reserve not to artificially inflate the economy by creating money to fight an economic downturn. In response, the Federal Reserve replied with the all-time classic line, "Haha, money printer go brrr." Within 8 days, the tweet gained over 16,000 likes and 3,000 retweets. The fear was that the Federal Reserve was attempting a QE, which means quantitative easing, a monetary policy whereby a central bank purchases predetermined amounts of government bonds or other financial assets in order to inject money into the economic activities. Look, it's like pouring warm water on yourself to get through your rainy days. Although it works for a moment, you are still going to freeze up later on. By March 14, 2020, Redditor A Goon and Gopher submitted a political compass meme featuring variations of the Zoomer Wojak in each quadrant, and the Federal Reserve Boomer Wojak in the center of subreddit Destiny. On March 16th, Redditor Max C posted a GIF of a pink Wojak rapidly spinning a money printing machine to prevent a crashing stock market. And from then, really, a legendary meme was born. What the people on the internet were afraid of was a runaway hyperinflation. And in some circles, they feel they have been justified by the recent inflation statistics. In November 2021, inflation reached an all-time high in 30 years. That is trouble for the man on the street. Because to normal people, inflation is the only economic concept that they actually give a shit about. In fact, when anyone hears inflation is rising, what they hear is, "You are about to be a broke bastard." But there is a bright side here. Inflation teaches us to value things that are always free, like common sense, for example, which, if we had used it properly, we would have never created the printer goes brrr meme in the first place. Let's consider the true issues. The claim from time has been that fiat currency always fails. And eventually, all that money printing will cause runaway inflation. The dollar will go up in flames, and with it, the US economy. It is sort of how people panic bought tissue paper when the lockdown was first announced. But the thing is, the federal quantitative easing does not increase physical currency. It inflates bank reserves. This is a case where the "miss the point" meme would be appropriate. So if Jerome Powell had simply replied all inflation-related questions with the "miss the point" meme, maybe the printer goes brrr meme would not even exist today. But wait, there is a comeback. Some argue that banks will eventually have to lend out these reserves, and that this will still cause high inflation. They are also potentially wrong. This is because, for all we know, the banks do not lend out the money thrown at them by the federal government. For 12 years now, the problem has been too little bank lending, not too much. Small businesses have suffered the most from this lending drought. What paying banks to hold reserves in excess of their reserve requirements does, it can be argued, is that it would discourage them from lending. And if banks don't lend, there is no possibility for inflation. But hey, there is an inflation, so fuck all of this. Rather than go in depth into all of that, I've got one meme for you. The printer goes brrr.